Intro, are you recording? Excellent, thank you. So, with a speech entitled Your Life's Work, please welcome Hilary Briggs.
Mr. Brown, you're still here. Just afterwards, I blurted that out. I wish the floor could have opened up and swallowed me. You see, Mr. Brown was my boss's boss's boss. And I'd heard that he was going to be made redundant or was taking early redundancy. And so I was just surprised to see him still. But I didn't put it across in a very tactful way. 20 years later, I had some fallout from a late night email. You know the situation, you just want to get that email out. At the time, I'd been running a training course. I was excited because the results had just come through from the training body and I wanted to pass them out to the participants. It was 11 o'clock at night. I'd got a lot of things to do. I thought, I'll just get this email out. I just sent it out, the results. Now, the fact that a couple of people had failed, well, the results are the results, aren't they? Mayhem the next day. But I did recover. Fellow Toastmasters guests, willkommen für alle in Düsseldorf. And I want to share with you tonight about communication styles. In particular mine, and I've just shared some examples when I made mistakes. Have you ever had a situation when you wish the floor could have opened up and swallowed you? Or perhaps you've had the experience where you wish the floor could have opened up and swallowed somebody else who'd just been rather blunt to you. Any thumbs up? Anyone experienced that? Some of you. So yes, I've shared some of the weaknesses of my communication style, which, believe it or not, is being direct. Now, how many of you are familiar with a model of communication style called DISC, D-I-S-C? Again, hands up. Anybody heard of that? One or two. But I'll just give you a very quick overview of it, and then I'll share a bit more about my situation and what I've done with it. So perhaps, are you very optimistic? You like to be collaborative, but you're not great on detail and you might act impulsively. Ring any bells? That is the influential style. Or perhaps you're very calm, very supportive of people, but you take criticism as a personal threat, really, personal affront, and you're not known for your sense of urgency. Anybody that rings true? That's the steadiness character. Or maybe you absolutely crave for details. You want all the information. You fear being wrong, and that partly drives why you want all this information. But you might be defensive, and sometimes you might suffer from an analysis paralysis because you just get so much information. In which case, if that sounds familiar, you're in the compliance character. Or you might be like me in the D, which is dominance or direct. Whilst I've shared some of the negatives, you might tendency to be blunt, impatient is another one. Positives are that we Ds love challenges and will give everything to get things done. So for instance, for myself, through my career, a slight blunt moment, I ended up being fired because I was a bit too blunt with a boss because I thought he was stupid. And so I ended up involved with startups, training companies. I've done all sorts of things. No challenge too big. Within Toastmasters, I set up a new club I worked my way up to district governor. In my personal life, I love playing cello. I do crazy pieces of music, and I also do a lot of sports, whether it's triathlons, long distance walks, all sorts of things. Almost the bigger the challenge, the more I get excited. So those are some of the positive sides of the D type. Now, the reality with these different characters is that obviously they're simplified versions, but the four seem to come through, and it's researched throughout history, really, these kind of characters. They're only, or less than 5% of the population will be absolutely dominant in any one of those. It's about 1% each. The majority of people are a combination, typically of two of the type. So I'm actually a mix of the dominant and influencing style. But again, none of these are perfect for if you want to be as effective as possible. It's not going to give you everything. Now, to be effective in life, it doesn't matter in your career, in your personal relationships, all of us need to be able to interact with all of these different types. And it's your life's work, really, to work out what your type is, the strengths and weaknesses, the positives and negatives of that, and also to learn to recognize the other styles out there, and then to develop the skills to be able to adapt and interact with those as best as possible. Now, the sort of things which I have done since those days which I shared at the beginning of my speech, I have learned that there will be times I miss things. So I take time now, if I've got some important communication to do, not only will I take time to think about it myself, but I will also consult with other people who have a different perspective, because I know that I have blind spots. I need to work with other people to expose those and help me to overcome them. Also, I've learned, and I would recommend this to everybody, no late night emails, especially on something that's a sensitive topic. It's just not worth it. What I will do, though, is I may well get a draft of an email, deliberately leave out who it's going to, just in case there's a bit of finger trouble and I actually end up sending something I didn't want to. So leave it blank in terms of who it's going, sleep on it, and then come back and rework it. And I've definitely benefited from that. The other thing that I've done is invest time in training. And I've spent quite a lot of time over the years studying coaching skills and using those skills, because coaching is a fantastic set of skills that really I would put it in asking powerful questions, listening, serious amounts of listening, not just, oh, I hear what you say. No, I'm really interested and listening to what you're saying. And for those of you who may be on the D type like myself, we have to work at our listening, and the influencing types as well also need to work at listening. So but it's not in any of these. If you have one extreme, say in my type, the balance between being blunt or actually telling the truth. If you want to tell the truth, so if you're frightened of being too blunt with people, then maybe you end up saying nothing. And we can see this in Toastmasters in evaluations, the whitewash evaluation, where people just don't really say anything. That is a missed opportunity to the speaker. But I've also seen situations where people have been too direct in what they've said, and the speaker has been really upset by it, so much so that they, in some instance, I heard of a case where someone actually left a club, which is a real shame. So you need to find ways to be able to get your message across in a way that it will be received as well. So that both and mindset works for all of the different characteristics within these communication styles. Now, one of my weaknesses as well, or the downside negatives, is impatience. And I should share with you that I was actually born a month early, which should tell you that actually impatience is probably quite deep in me. So sometimes I don't have time to do all the preparation and perhaps think through how to put things across as carefully as I might. So if I upset okay, I'm waiting. I haven't got the timer there. If I upset people, I'm really sorry. I don't give an iota. What I strongly recommend, it's your life's work. Find your style, learn it, and be as effective as possible.
That's time.
Thank you, Hilary.
Sorry about that. I did have the timer up, and then it wasn't.